Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everyone, depending on where you're watching me from. This is Colored Wonders, or otherwise Esther Bizugbe. Today's topic is called the head of the family, which is an extremely important topic, I believe. Others should also teach and preach about it because it's a fundamental part of a healthy Christian, God's believing family. Yeah. As you all know, I always start with the Bible quotations because that's just how I do. So the first one I'm going to read to you all, and another thing as well. I always use Bible. I don't like to use technology that much. Obviously, understandably, there are times when I use the Bible app on my phone, but that's not usual. So the first one I'm going to read to you is in the book of Ephesians, which you can find in the New Testament also. Also, I'm going to write down all these scriptures in the description part so that, if you can't hear clearly what I said, you can just look it up in your own time. You can have a read and, you can have a think and all the rest. So the book of Ephesians, chapter 5, verse 25, and I read, which is said, "Husbands, love your wives, just as Christ also loved the church and gave himself for her." So that's the first one. The next one, we are going to look into the book of Colossians, which is also in the New Testament, so not going far from the New Testament just yet. The book of Colossians, chapter 3, just bear with me. Chapter 3, verse 19, and it says, "Husbands, love your wives, and do not be bitter towards them." Yeah. Okay, the next one is in First Timothy chapter 5. Pardon me. First Timothy chapter 5, verse 8. Yeah. First Timothy chapter 5, verse 8. And I read, "But if anyone does not provide for his own, and especially for those of his household, he has denied the faith and is worse than an unbeliever." So the next one is, now we are heading back to the Old Testament, the book of Genesis, chapter 18. Chapter 18. Yeah, just bear with me for a moment as I'm finding the right page here. Yeah, success. So Genesis chapter 18, verse 19, and I read, "For I have known him in order that he may command his children and his household after him, that they keep the way of the Lord, to do righteousness and justice, that the Lord may bring to Abram what he has spoken to him." After this one, we are heading back to the New Testament again, which is 1 Peter chapter 3. Sorry, 1 Peter chapter 3, verse is 8. Yeah, and I read, yes. "Finally, all of you be of one mind, having compassion for one another. Love as brothers, be tender-hearted. Be cautious. After this one, the next one I'm going to read to you is in the book of 1 Corinthians chapter 11. Yep, just there. Chapter 11. And verses 3. And I read, "But I want you to know that the head of every man is Christ, the head of woman is man, and the head of Christ is God." So the next one is in the Old Testament, in the book of Psalms. Psalms 112. 112 verse 1, and I read, "Blessed is the man who fears the Lord, who delights greatly in his commandments," as of in God's commandments. The next one is in the New Testament, is a bit much, but just, the topic itself is not a light one. So the next verse is in the New Testament, 1 Timothy chapter 2 verses 8. And I read, "I desire therefore that the men pray everywhere, lifting up holy hands without wrath and doubting." Now the next verse is in the book of Titus. Actually, the next two quotation is going to be in the book of Titus, chapter 2. Let me just get there first. So the book of Titus in the New Testament, chapter 2, verse 2, first of all, I read, "That the older man be sober, reverent, temperate, sound in faith, in love, in patience." And then the other verses I'd like to read from the same chapter is verses 6 and the first half of verse 7. "Likewise, exhort the young man to be sober-minded, in all things showing yourself to be a pattern of good works, in doctrine showing integrity, reverence." Well, I almost said the whole verse, but yeah. And then the last verse is in the book of Corinthians, 1 Corinthians, which is in the New Testament, chapter 11, verses 12. And I read, "For as woman came from man, even so man also comes through woman. But all things are from God." So these are the verses I have for today. Just a minute, sorry. Yeah, as the title says, the head of the family. And I want to talk about this because if you haven't already realized these days that the devil is really, really, really attacking not necessarily churches, but families first of all, because it's a big win for him if he can destroy marriages, And what I see is, if you are a man, you have a responsibility, and it's not something that you can joke with, and it's not something that you can avoid to say, "Oh, the woman can do this." No, because right from the beginning, God has assigned Adam as the man of the family. Sorry, He did not assign Eve to be the head, and I find it very important because I've seen relationships fall apart because the man was not practicing believer. Probably they believe in God, but they were never serious as of, okay, you have to pray, you have to fast, you have to spend time with God. Make sure that, He's strengthening you so that when the devil comes, you can actually um, just tell him to get behind me, Satan, and all those, and not to fall into all those traps that the devil really carefully puts in front of anybody and everybody, really. Yeah, I can say I am blessed enough to say that I have come from a family where I have a wonderful, great father, which he has always been the head of my family. And this is something I've seen from being small to growing older and all those things, as of how they were with my mom, and they are still alive. Thank God for that. But I understand it's not the case in everybody's life, because some of you might be out there, say you just have a single mom, and you grow up that way, so you don't really know how is a father figure, or how should you be a head for the family where you've never really seen a good example. And I can totally understand that as well. So I'm just here to say that this is very important, because another thing I think the devil is trying to do is to confuse people with all this who is a woman, who is a man, what is a man supposed to do, what is a woman supposed to do. As a woman, you can do the same things as men, and it's nothing wrong with it, and etc. etc. Like, he's just turning things upside down. And we got to a point in society where actually people, in a very big percentage, they don't know what they're supposed to do, how they're supposed to be the right man, how they're supposed to be the right woman. And it's sad to say, and that's why it's so much in my heart as well to talk about this, because as a man, you have to be the head of the family. And I say this to you, gentlemen out there, all of you, whether you fathers, whether you uncles, whether you brothers, whether you grandfathers, great grandfathers, the list goes on, whether you friends and stuff. But that's something that is supposed to be part of you, and it's not something you can escape, because you also have the responsibility of being the protector for your wife, for your children, and then I have a brother too, so he has his own job to be done as well. But how I see it, I have sons myself, and they need to grow up in such way that they watch their father, they know how all this is, because it has to be done in God's way, like it says, not to make yourself not to make your wife bitter, but then at the same time you have to serve towards your family and do the right things to really succeed. Because how I see it, as I said it before, Satan's first target, I don't think, is the church, or let's put it that way, is the church, but is the family as the first target. Because if he can destroy a family, then it's easy peasy to just penetrate into the church and take it to the ruins of the whole thing. And I believe we Christians, we need to wake up. We need to wake up. We need to start praying for our brothers, for our fathers, uncles, friends, whatsoever. We need to wake up and start doing the right thing for once. It's not about we comparing each other with each other, because that's another nonsense. What I think is not necessary. It's not something. It's not about competition. We are not competing. Everybody's here for doing the right thing. So for men, yeah, I understand it's not an easy job. It's not an easy responsibility to hold. you know, to be the head, to be the example, to be the protection, to be the caring one, be the loving one, be the one to understand, and all those things, because we are all humans, which I understand. But at the same time, the Bible also talks about, you know, that if you don't have wisdom, you should ask God, and God will give you wisdom. And I think is equivalent to anything and everything in life. Even if you are not experienced or you've never seen an example in front of you, you put your hands up to say, but I don't know how to do it. And then God is gracious enough to say, I can come and teach you, you know. And it's how should I say, it's a very big thing for me, because to me, being the head of the family is giving you coverage whether you are aware of it or you're not aware of it, as a wife, as children, but then also, as the head of the family, also gets very much of attacks from the enemy as well, not just us. And obviously, if the devil cannot succeed to attack the husband, then it will try the wife and then try the children. And what I would say is that we have to be alert. All of us, we have to be alert. Pray for one another. Pray for one another, even if you're busy, because you have a life of, you have your kids, you have work, and you have all kind of stuff to deal with. But just make sure you pray for one another. If you can also pray together, which is important. I'm not saying all these things because I'm perfect. Don't get me wrong, I'm not perfect at all. But I just see the necessity of the young man to really rise up in a way that is a respectful, godly way that they can teach the younger generation. And I think the older generation, you still have a job to do. That's another thing I want to say. You still have a job to do, as of teach the young men of how they should treat their wives rightfully, how they should raise their children together, so that there is peace. There is peace, there is unity, and there is God at the center of it all. Because if we leave God out of it, then, let me just put it that way, then the whole house will crumble. The whole house will crumble, because the enemy, the devil, does not need much of you to, it's just a tiny little bit of a gap. If he can come in, he'll come in, and to stop it, that's really can be hard work to stop it, because then that means both sides have to be committed to come and say, okay, what I was thinking, for example, it was wrong, or what you said, it was not right, or what I said, I'm sorry, it's not how I meant it, and then discuss things and all the rest. Apologies. But I'm just seeing the need of man to rise up, to be man. You are the son of God, and God has created you to his own image for a reason. Not, it wasn't by mistake. Even if the word says, oh, you can dress anyhow, or you can behave anyhow, let me tell you, you're a man for a good reason. You're not a woman. And the same goes for women. We also have our own parts to play, our own side to do. As I said, I'm just emphasizing this because I've seen relationships fall apart, where the where the man was not a serious Christian, and then problems were bubbling up on the surface, and then they were not handling it in a way that actually was bringing peace, more like chaos and more like destruction. And at the end, it was the breakdown of relationships. So Um, and I just, and I feel sorry about this a lot. Well, I'm not saying a lot, but a couple of times when as all of you know, I'm from Hungary, and before I came here, I used to go to church. I had my own, but then we went to other churches, and then not to mention news conferences, the different programs, and then you see your generation. I mean, I have watched my generation, even younger ones or older ones, and some of them messed up big time, and I just cannot put my head around it. Like, you know, and it gets to me because one thing is a marriage is important, is ordained by God, but God is the author of it, and he should be the center, and it's not about people, not about politics, not about um, likes or dislikes. How I see it is, to be a man, to be the head, to be the husband, it takes a lot of work, a lot of works, a lot of nurturing, and if especially if there is no nurturing, how shall I say? Just want the church to recognize that, to start um, sacrificing time for it, to you know let's raise these young men in a godly way, so that wherever they go, wherever they representing God, they representing Christ, but then at the same time they are the head of their future families. Yes, because if we not do the right thing, it's going to be too late. I think it's going to be too late, and I do not wish that for anybody here. So just like I said, it's a lot on the man because they are the head of the family. um, can be head of church, but as I said, the first and most important thing is the family. Everything comes after it, whether some people like it or not, but that's just how it is. So I just want you to, ponder about this, think about it when you have time, go through the Bible verses yourself, and ask God to help you. And if you know anybody within your, shall I say, circle, uh, as of Christian, matured men, whether in your church, whether from workplace or any other place that you might find, then it's good to have fellowship. It's good to share, and it's good to pray together. It's good to discuss, and it's good to strengthen one another, because I find as a woman we do that a lot. We need to share our emotions, our views, our our experience of life, as of raising children and stuff, and then the challenges or even milestones we go through, just to support one another, because I think everybody needs support, and is no shame of saying that you want to fellowship with men together, do God's work and all those things, which I think is important and is key, because if one of you are weak, the others can strengthen the weak person, and all the other things, like you see in the Bible, that if one of you cry, you cry with the person. If one of you laugh, you laugh with the person. You'll be happy, and I think it's for every situation almost. Yeah, and we were not created to be lonely creatures. Like, I just want the church really to, take care of it. It's not about XYZ, who is popular, who is not popular, who does what or what not. It's about do the right thing, you know. Nobody's perfect, but I'm sure a lot of you out there, gentlemen, have testimonies, have some life experience which you can pass on for good reason. Is important, because there are younger generations who has no experience, who are just presented with this mayhem which is out there, and they need guidance. Not necessarily the guidance the education provides them. They need the godly guidance. So, thank you for your time today. I'm almost at the end of my little message as for today or for this week. So, you know what you know, what I normally do at the end, because I've been instructed. So, yeah. It's going to be from Psalm 99, actually. Exalt the Lord our God, and worship at his throne. He is holy, he is holy, he is holy. Moses and Aaron were among his priests. Samuel, who called upon his name, they called upon the Lord, and he answered them. He spoke to them in the cloudy pillar. They kept his testimonies and ordinance he gave them. He is holy, he is holy, he is holy, he is holy. Thank you, Father God, for creating us, and that we are not the tail, but as you said, we are the head and not the tail. You know, you're fearfully and wonderfully made us, and I thank you for the men out there. Thank you for my father, my grandfathers, whom are not alive anymore, my uncles, my brother, my sons, and the rest goes on, you know, all the friends and stuff. Sorry, not stuff. Friends and the others. I thank you for creating men, and you know that you have wonderfully made them. You were so thoughtful as you've created each and every one of them, and I thank you that you know them all by their name. You know them before you formed them in their mother's womb, and you've seen them through life in every situation, even if they have gone through suffering and pain, but you were there. And I just want to pray that men out there, they will find their way to you, so that they can really become the reflection of you, not just for themselves, but for their families, for their wives, for their children, and for the people out there can see that yes, they are different. They are not like the men out there, but there is something different about them. I pray you give wisdom to those who doesn't have wisdom, who hasn't had an experience or example, a good one before them as they were growing up. I pray that you heal the brokenhearted, because there's so much brokenness out there, not just for men but for women as well. And that's why a lot of us, I believe, we malfunction. But I know you are the master of healers, who can mend the brokenhearted, who can actually do and deal with everything. It's nothing impossible for you, and I just thank you for that. I pray that you heal whoever needs that your healing touch, whether it's in your soul, your emotions, or your body. And I pray that each and every one of you can get closer to your Creator who loves you very much. Thank you for listening. I pray that you will have a blessed weekend in Jesus' name. Amen. Now, I just want to take this opportunity. Here comes the advertisement.com. Actually, because I've been working on some different topics, and those of you who know, lately I haven't put it out there too much, but I promise I'm gonna put it up there on my, especially on my Instagram and my WhatsApp profile to all of you to see. So this is my first book. Actually, it has changed a bit. It's still the same story. It's just that I've polished it, so it's been republished. It's called The Family Tree, The Little Drama, and you find this on Amazon, just like all the other ones. Which there is this one, Colored Wonders, which it has coloring pages. You can actually put your little notes here, and there is a Bible verse on top which you can meditate on as you're coloring, which I think is very nice. And these are for all ages, so don't just think, oh, it's only for kids. It's not only for kids. I don't know about you, but I know myself. Me, I like to do coloring sometimes, drawing and things, because I'm good with those. But I just find it is relaxing. Now the latest one is actually meant to be for last year, but I had a little bit of hiccups, shall I say, or what can I say? I had some hiccups along the way, yeah. So this is also another coloring book, which is called Relaxation for Peaceful Moments, as you can see. By me, that's there. The back has a little kind of poem which says, amid quiet fields and snowy paths, find a sanctuary of calm. Each page invites you to pause, to bring color to moments of peace. So, which is also coloring book, but this time you can see the coloring page and then have some Bible verses in the bottom part. 60 pages actually. This one is 60 pages. And there are a lot of beautiful images there. I believe the first one I show you, this one, is altogether I think is 40 pages, but yeah, the second one is 60. Now they all basically in a 10-12 pound range. You can buy them. I would really appreciate if you can support my ministry, my little business. Yeah. Also, there are more books coming up. Hopefully, the second part of this series, which I'm adding some more. And there are some coloring books which I need to finalize and start working on publishing them as well. So please do share, like, subscribe. Plus, find my products and buy them on Amazon for friends, family, for schools, care homes even, whichever comes to mind. Thank you very much for your time. God bless you. Have a nice weekend. Bye.